Max Trinity's Metaphysics for Suicide Prevention, Part 1, The Key. The key to all secrets is this: all secrets are hidden in plain sight. Metaphysics is a school of thought that encompasses the experiential aspects of our existence. These experiential aspects are essentially non-physical. By non-physical, I mean that which cannot be measured or quantified by physical standards. For instance, emotions are energy configurations that can vary in intensity but can't be measured or quantified. These are qualitative states of being that we are naturally engaging in as human beings. We engage emotions and our non-physical senses with our personal focus of attention. We simply consider and dwell on the emotion with our focus of attention, and in the same instant, we experience the emotion we're giving attention to. When we hear the phrase quality of life, it's in direct reference to these non-physical experiential states of being. Molding the quality of our personal experience is our objective here. We're entering a school of thought, so we will be putting on intentional perspectives, the same as if we were to put on 3D glasses to see in greater depth the world we already inhabit. Here's where the key to all secrets fits in. In this school of thought, we won't be figuring out what to do to create our own experience. We'll be observing and realizing how we're already doing it. All it requires is seeing what's already here and has only been hidden due to limiting perspectives. At the onset of each new stage of our personal development, we're exposed to expanded perspectives. For the individual, the experience of expanded perspective is instantaneous, like a surprise. Surprise! The major shifts in our personal realities are exciting, terrifying, and overwhelming at first. Perspective itself is experiential. It can't be weighed in kilograms or measured in cubes or parts per million. It can't be touched with the skin or tasted with the tongue, or smelled or heard or seen with the physical eyes. And yet, a sudden new perspective can cause the whole body to tremble with fear or delight. The body can be rocked with abrupt sorrow or rendered weightless by the shock of a beautiful new view. The body is integral to our physical life and all of physical experience, and it's the ever-emerging expression of the relationship between our mind and our soul. Shall we use the key to see what's hidden in plain sight? Our body is our personal receiver of physical stimulus and input. It's couched in a realm of physical expression in which we experience solidness, density, the passage of linear time, the reach of space, and form-to-form interaction. Through our physical senses, we enjoy the vast array of physical experiences. This physical life is so often referred to as a ride because it's a constant inpouring of stimulus and expression that permeates our whole being with seriously dazzling molecular dances and electrochemical cascades that tumble like natural kaleidoscopes to give us direct, specific physical experiences of our environment. Our body is our direct interface with the physical realms, and our focus of attention is the interface between our body and our soul and mind. The mind is not to be confused with the physical brain. The mind is an aspect of our non-physical being. It creates, processes, and assigns meaning and context to our experience. The mind operates as the head writer of our personal stories because it creates with meaning and forms the context of our journey. From day one in the life of the physical body, the individual story begins. It is the birth of a personality. That's why we call our individual experiences personal, because they are centered on our personality, our personal sense of being the central character of an unfolding story and the creator of the story as well. We have full autonomy in our mind because we're absolutely free to choose from infinite meanings how we will interpret life. Our personal interpretation of life is our own unique life print. We create and choose with our own particular style and self-expression through the mind's access to all meaning. We use meaning to color our experiences with purpose, with satisfaction, and with organizing power so swift that we don't even see how we're constantly collecting, correlating, collating, and discarding meanings in every movement of our personal focus of attention. Our focus of attention is the body's and the mind's interface with our soul existence. Our soul is the energetic and power aspect of our being. All of our feelings, experiential senses, and emotions, all the movements of our mind and body, the movements of our whole self, are the domain of the soul. Our soul life is the core quality and vibrational environment in which our mind and body are encompassed. It is the allness, the heart of our being, and it is not constricted to time-space realities. Time and space are the soul's playgrounds, where it stages productions from a view of expansive reach that has no boundaries or limitations. Our soul is ever evolving through the meanings and physical expressions of individual lifetimes and each life print. It is the director, the generator, and the environment of pure frequency and awareness. Pure frequency and pure awareness. The soul lives right up next to mystery and knows all by knowing that it can never know all. The soul is the individual personality's direct connection with mystery. Mystery, by definition, is unknown and unknowable. So anything can come out of mystery, and because of that, freedom is absolute and preserved. We're free to choose what we focus on, what we engage our focus with, and to allow our focus to shift and to rest. The resting place of the personal focus of attention is right on the shores of mystery. It's the still place where we experience our deepest sense of relaxation and belonging. On that shore, we're free to suspend choosing and creating and just commune with the pure experience of anything can happen. We can fill our own familiarity with the sense that every possibility is present, but no particular thing is happening. This is the great and spacious no-thingness of the still focus. To still the mind has always been the aim of meditation, always. The most instant access to that meditative state of being is simply to focus on your own focus of attention. When you focus on your focus, that's the same as turning your attention inward. Do it. Focusing on your focus is also the same as communing with mystery, because you're just being and not giving attention to anything in particular. So nothing is occupying your being, and that's how it's on the shore of mystery. Nothing in particular is happening, but everything could. Do your own thought experiment by asking yourself the following questions. Do I have a body and a life story? Do I choose from infinite meanings and mold my own personal meanings from them? Do I use my focus of attention to access, observe, and comprehend meanings? Aren't I experiencing emotions, feelings, and non-physical senses? Do emotions engage my attention and even grab my focus at times? Can I shift my focus of attention around from meanings to feelings and then to physical awareness? Aren't I simultaneously focusing on feelings, meanings, and my own physical presence all the time? Am I using my focus of attention to access information, to steer through feelings and emotions, and to navigate my physical environment? And isn't my focus of attention traveling outside the boundaries of space-time when I enter my imagination, when I dream or daydream, or when I recall past times? The answers to these questions are in plain sight. This is how the relationship between our individual soul, mind, and body is constantly forming our personal experience of life. And since we are free to direct our own focus of attention and then to interpret what we encounter in our own way, then we show ourselves to be free creators of our experiences and our own realities. We are already doing this. It's not something we have to learn. We're born to it. It's our natural way of being. We have powers, and our greatest power is this inborn ability to focus and experience what we're focusing on. Our personal attention is our soul stuff. It's what we're focusing and directing. Your attention is actually part of your personal energy configuration, the energy that is you. And when you give attention to anything, you're pouring your energy into the object of your attention and simultaneously receiving its energy into your unique configuration. So what you give attention to integrates with your soul. Again, we are always in this mode of focusing. We focus from multiple aspects of our being, and the streams of our focus are always merging and coalescing and diverging into other zones of diverse experience. This is our constant state of existence. This is how we be. Even in stillness, we never stop focusing. Our attention is perpetually blinking off here as it blinks on there in the stillness. And that's astral travel. Astral travel is the movement of our personal attention in the domains of our mind and soul. We travel, non-physically, when we focus our attention outside the limits of the physical realms. Our imagination is our greatest ally when moving our focus around and desiring to create intentional experiences. Our personal imagination is our direct access to pulling anything we can dream up out of mystery. Like magicians pulling rabbits out of our hats, we reach into mystery with our imagination and pull out partially of fully formed ideas. That's how we create and experience our creations before they fully manifest in the physical experience. So yeah, that's who we are, we humans. We're multi-focusing, magical meaning shapers, makers of life perspectives, throwing our attention around rather haphazardly right now and creating some havoc in our current scenarios. But once we learn the open secret that it's all about our focus of attention, that our focus of attention is our personal power, then we can create in more and more directed ways. Then we can create heaven if we so choose. And why wouldn't we once we know we can? The signs, the so-called hidden knowledge, the secrets to our own fulfillment and genuine power to create our own experience are all in plain sight. Just see how you're already doing it. Just see that it's already happening. Prevention. The action of prevention involves foreseeing, foreknowledge, preparation, forbearing, and a bit of strategy. Foreseeing doesn't require you to be a psychic, and in reality, even when an event is foreseen, the first-hand experience always comes in a tidal wave fashion. We actually get swept up by the events of our lives, and it's only in the after calm, when you have time to reflect, that you can catch your breath and recall, oh yeah, I had a dream about that, or a premonition, or there were lots of signs. So in order to assist in prevention, we can use foreseeing in a sort of backwards time travel way. When we have the dream or premonition, when we're seeing the signs, we can project our awareness into the possible future we're seeing and observe the feeling we're getting from the event. We do this simply by focusing, of course, on the idea that's being triggered by the foreseeing and then taking note how it makes us feel. If the feeling is of foreboding or suffering, then we can brace ourselves a bit and give ourselves some safe words that will be there when the time comes and help us to know that we have our own back should the event come to pass. The safe words need to address suffering in general, not the possible event, just the feeling of it. The words need mostly to be soothing, to bring some level of comfort and relief, and some degree of acceptance. These are the mindsets that get us through the rough parts, and life gets really fucking rough at times. It does. When the actual event occurs, like I said, it sweeps you up in its momentum, and it's only when the waves become manageable that you can then recall your safe words, and that's all it takes. The recalling is a bit of your focus turning toward itself, saying, "Hey, remember, we saw this coming." And then the safe words will echo through like a boomerang your past self threw out for your future self to catch. Those words will not prevent you from feeling the suffering. They won't. But they will prevent you from getting stuck there. You'll be demonstrating to yourself firsthand that whatever comes your way, you are there for yourself and you will get through it. Also, remember this. Whenever there is suffering in the world, there are angels that show up. They come in the form of other human beings, and sometimes four-leggers too, or cats and or dogs. Maybe an old friend or a new one, but these people show up and give you a hand up, a shoulder, an ear, or their company. I'm half 100 years old plus 6, and I can tell you it happens every time. I believe if you look back over your own life experience, you'll see what I'm saying here. So just know that not only do you have your own back, there are angel people out there, and they will show up. I promise. In the case of the foreseeing of something wonderful or exciting or uplifting, you throw out a whole different boomerang. You give yourself permission ahead of time to revel in the goodness, to celebrate your ass off, to feel deep appreciation, and to milk every second of the whole experience, because that is the art of living. That is what we do with our passion. The great events, say like falling in love, will sweep you off your feet just as suddenly and aggressively as the harsh events. But here's the thing. The great events let you integrate faster. The wonderful waves are so much fun to surf that you jump in willingly and you just go for it. You're using the same skills in all cases. You're using foreseeing to commune with your possible future self and be there in good times and bad. You're doing this with your focus of attention. By focusing on potential joy, you put your awareness, your attention, your soul stuff into that awesome feeling. And the feeling instantly becomes a part of your soul at the same time. Then, when you experience the grand event, you meet up with a joy-filled aspect of yourself that gives the event incredible reach and washes over everyone in your vicinity without your even trying. It's like planting happiness bombs that explode so much gladness that it affects everything and everyone near you. That's the stuff right there. That's the best and most creative way to use foreseeing. Foreknowledge is similar to foreseeing, only it's even more user-friendly. Foreknowledge involves known patterns, veteran advice, and more specific preparation. In the pattern aspect, we have the benefit of all the research work done by previous generations. It's invaluable to know that there are stages of human development, that there are patterns in human emotion, and there are living legends in the form of those who have made it across the gulfs you'll be crossing. This is your go-to survival and potential to thrive kit. When you know the different stages of development, it's like you have a handbook to yourself and your own form of existence. When you know the patterns of emotion, you can observe them while they happen and make sense of your experience. Being able to make sense of your experience is so valuable. It gives you platforms of meaning that you can land on and launch from. It gives you broader perspectives so you have more information to make choices with. And it helps you know that even if you get lost, that getting lost from time to time is part of the process. No worries. When you get lost, you'll find your way again. Sometimes getting lost is just a way for our soul to change the course of our life path. This can only really be seen in review, but it's easy to spot big turns in your life path when looking back. And yeah, you'll see those rough patches that came before the course change, and you'll see that you felt lost for a time. Again, this is incredibly valuable to know when striking out to create your own story. Then there's the veterans. I'm one of those. I survived the gulf of adolescence and I emerged with knowledge. I'm a kind of tour guide. I can point out pitfalls and waterfalls and traps and treasure maps and all sorts of sites because I've been there and I took notes. The veterans are all around, and if you ask what they've seen and what their advice would be, you'll get answers, and in turn, you aid the vet in expanding their own wisdom by sharing it. Look for the elders who seem to be living in a way you would like to live. Let them mentor you a bit, and in turn, show them what you know too. The teaching and learning is always in both directions. When you become a veteran yourself, then you share your foreknowledge across the board, regardless of your age. This is a rich experience that can't be fully described, and you have to live a while to get to it. With your foreseeing and your foreknowledge, you mentally and spiritually prepare yourself for oncoming events and experiences that lie along your path quite hidden from view. You know they're out there. You know you're going to experience things, but you can never tell the exact moment the ride is going to take off. That's it. That's your preparation. Just the knowing. Knowing that we all have to cross the gulf of adolescence. We all have to experience the full range of our emotions, and we all must learn to direct our focus amidst these powerful forces. Just knowing that all humans progress this way prepares the mind and body in ways so subtle you can't really pinpoint them, but you feel it. You feel it through your sense of readiness for the fact that anything can happen. Forbearance. This is the gird up your loins part. In all you're gathering, what you will need to gather the most is your own sense of courage, confidence, and self-reliance. This requires a certain amount of solitude. You have to know that at times you are on your own. Of course you are. No one can live your life for you. No one can experience for you, and no one can decide for you. You are the central character of your own story, and it will always be that way. It's the same for everyone else. You are not the central character of your parents' stories, even if they build their world around you. Your mom is the central character of her own story. Same with your dad. And parents, it goes for your children as well. If we try to take center stage in someone else's story, we'll get hurt. And they won't like it. If someone tries to make you center stage of their story, they will get hurt. The harm comes from trying to live against a fundamental pattern of selfhood. Each individual is the central character of their own life story. That is so very obvious. When we live in resonance with this fundamental pattern, we avoid pitfalls in our relationships and development. We avoid unnecessary rejection, resentment, and misplaced priorities. Are we not designed to be centered? Isn't being centered and balanced the same thing? And isn't being centered the most stable state to operate from? Well, then it's obvious that the balanced and centered approach to life is to understand and honor that each individual is the center of their own story. If I am centered and honoring the centeredness of others, then I will be ready. I will be self-reliant. And in feeling ready, I'll have a correlating sense of courage and self-confidence. That is forbearance. Be courageous, because even the great things like love and adventure are also terrifying. And the suffering and loss are even more terrifying. So when you feel slightly or very terrified, let yourself know this is part of the intensity of the experience. This is the power of the movement of life, and I acknowledge and honor it. I signed up for this exact thing. Listen, we all know by the time we're 12 that even the best laid plans can fail. They often do. It's great to plan short term, but better to have a bit of strategy for more long-term ideas. This involves goal setting and the outlook we create when we set goals. A goal is an aim, a trajectory, a direction setter. Goals are most useful for choosing paths and directions. When used as destinations, they have a tendency to result in a sense of failure when they're not reached, and a triple resulting sense of inadequacy. When a goal is used as a director, it's a much more satisfying and useful device. If we set our sights on the goal and not our heart, we'll have a clear direction. When our heart is free from the destination idea, it is free to enjoy the direction and the resulting path that unfolds. People are always saying it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Choosing to allow long-term goals to be like a GPS and not mistaking that for the actual scenery we travel through on our journey is a much more satisfying way to use goals. Pick a goal, make a plan in its general direction, and then enjoy your chosen direction. Enjoy a meandering path in the general direction of your goal. Aiming only for the shortest path to the goal and then doggedly pushing toward it is a very unsatisfying approach. It confuses getting with feeling. To quote Abraham Hicks, you want things because you think in the having of them you will feel good. It's the feeling good that you're really after. I found this to be my actual experience. When I've focused heavily on goals, I've missed a great deal of the journey. Even worse, when I've failed to reach the goal and missed the journey too, the loss and sense of failure I felt have been compounded. When I use the goal as a soft director, I have an entirely different experience. I get to see the sights along the way, and I'm more open to opportunities that lie along the chosen path. Sometimes these branches of opportunity are where our soul really wants us to go, and that initial goal was just a starting point. If I stay doggedly aiming specifically at a goal, then I'll refuse to take any path that I think leads away from it. In doing this, I've missed opportunities that life put right in front of me, which creates a sense of huge regret. So, setting your sights on goals, but setting your heart and mind on the quality of your daily life, on your day-to-day unfolding journey, is a bit of strategy. So is focusing on feeling rather than getting. Again, in plain sight, this is all about how you focus and what you set your focus on. Your personal power lies in your innate ability to direct, redirect, multitask, project, and rest your personal focus of attention. You have that power, you know. We all do. The Great Transition. A new pattern that you'll see in the transition is the pattern of 3. You begin to notice that it goes from yes or no to yes, no, or maybe. There's a lot of maybe in the new perspective. That's part of its expanded nature. You also go from being just a kid to being a soul, mind, body. It's also at this time that the expanded sense of self really shines through our formation of intimate circles. Our family circles give us this experience first, but it's even more personal somehow in our friend circles. It's such a personal and grand experience when 2 individuals become friends. There's you, me, and because of our bond of friendship, there is a we. That we lives outside the boundaries of space and time. It's part of our soul experience, the disembodied we. We don't have to be in the same room, the same town, or even alive at the same time to be part of a we with other people. I say we a lot in reference to we human beings, and that's an even further expanded sense of self. I also say we in a lot of my self-talk, and in reference to myself. It's sometimes called the royal we in that use. I like that. I use the term we in reference to myself because I sense many aspects of myself interacting as me, and just because it feels natural to do so. From here, you can see part of the epic transition from childhood to adolescence. We go from a simple perspective of living in duality as a singular, one-dimensional person to a complex perspective of living in the multiverse of infinite choices as a multi-focused, multi-dimensional, time-traveling, space-bending, energy-surfing, heroic warrior, lover, free agent type of being who is just coming into the full thrust of their personal power. Seriously? Is it not so very clear that this shift in perspective alone carries the momentum of a great gulf of huge waves, the force of massive tornadoes, and the power to devastate and destroy? That's the power we have to match. That's the power we have to recognize and summon up to accomplish the cardinal tasks of adolescence. That's the power we have to summon up to cross that great gulf with awareness, style, and a sense of faith in our own existence. Watch Max Trinity's Metaphysics for Suicide Prevention, Part 2, The 7 Cardinal Tasks of Adolescence. Peace.